Anton burst into the church as if fleeing from a chase. The heavy doors slammed shut behind him, the sound rolling like thunder through the high stone arches. Inside, the air was dense, the smell of candle wax mixed with fresh lilies. He froze on the threshold, breathless, unable to believe it. He was late. The pews stood empty. Only at the far end, by the altar, rested a small coffin wrapped in white roses. No voices, no prayers, no mourning. It was already over. They told him the ceremony had started earlier. Too many guests couldn't come, so the time was moved. But Anton had been stuck, first in traffic, then at the station begging for a ride, finally running the last miles on foot, across wet asphalt. Now stumbling down the aisle, his footsteps echoed in the silence. His throat tightened, his vision blurred with tears. But he kept walking. And when he reached the coffin, his knees gave way. Inside was Lisa, his little girl. Her face looked as if she were simply asleep, her lips slightly parted, her small hands folded across her chest. She wore the bunny print dress she loved to run around the house in. On her feet, pink slippers, the same ones Anton had bought for her birthday. She had laughed then, saying, "Daddy, I'm magical in these. Look how they sparkle." Anton collapsed against the coffin, clinging to its edge. For a heartbeat, it seemed like she might sigh, open her eyes and whisper, "Daddy, why are you crying?" But nothing stirred. Only the faint crackle of a dying candle beside her. He reached out, tracing the edge of the coffin with trembling fingers. He hadn't been there in her final days. He had only heard about the fever, the pain, the hospital through phone calls. He kept telling himself she'd recover, that it was temporary. Even when the words came, "She's gone," he refused to believe them. Closing his eyes, he whispered, "Forgive me. Please forgive me." Then he noticed her slipper. One was slightly off, tilted awkwardly, as if slipped on in haste. He reached down to fix it, his last act of care. At least he could do this right. One small gesture of fatherhood, even if too late. But when his trembling fingers touched the velvet fabric, he froze. It was warm. Cold fear clutched his chest. He pressed his palm again, firmer this time. And then he felt it. A movement. He recoiled, gasping. His mind screamed, "You're losing it. You want her alive so badly, you're imagining things." But then her tiny fingers twitched. Just a flicker. Barely visible. But real. "Lisa," his voice cracked. He leaned over the coffin. "Lisa, can you hear me?" Her chest rose in a sudden sharp breath. A weak cough rattled from her throat. Air rushed back into her lungs. Anton fell to his knees, sobbing. "She's alive. Oh God, she's alive." He grabbed her hand. Warm. Real. Breathing. Her eyes remained closed, her lips pale, but life had returned. "Help!" Anton shouted, turning. "Help, my daughter's alive." Suddenly the quiet church erupted. Footsteps, voices, cries of disbelief. Someone ran for doctors. A woman dropped her wreath with a gasp. Within minutes, paramedics stormed in. They checked pulse, oxygen, vitals, astonished. "She's breathing," one whispered, almost in shock. They lifted Lisa onto a stretcher, connecting her to machines, IVs, monitors. Anton followed without letting go of her hand. "She has a pulse," said the doctor, scanning the screen. "Weak but steady. She might survive." "But how?" murmured someone from the church staff. "She was declared dead." No one answered. There was no time. At the hospital, Lisa was rushed into intensive care. Anton waited in the corridor for hours, clutching one of her slippers in his hand, the same slipper that had started it all. Finally, the head doctor emerged. His face was tired, but his eyes glowed. "Are you the father?" Anton nodded, afraid to hear the truth. "Her condition is critical but stable. She's conscious. Weak but responsive." "Sir, this is nothing short of a miracle." Anton crumpled to the floor, covering his face with both hands. Tears poured out. Tears of relief, gratitude, and terror at how close he had come to burying her alive. Later, when he was finally allowed into her room, Lisa lay beneath white sheets, and four at her side. Her eyes fluttered open. "Daddy," she whispered faintly, "you came." "I'm here," he said, kissing her forehead. "And I'll never be late again. I promise." A week passed. Lisa grew stronger each day. She drew pictures, laughed, played with markers. Her cheeks regained color. Doctors called it an impossible recovery. None could explain how a child pronounced dead could simply return. Anton stayed by her side, watching her breathe, holding her hand, terrified it might all vanish if he looked away. One night, after Lisa had fallen asleep, the hospital door creaked open. Father Vasily, the priest who had performed her funeral rites, stepped inside. He sat beside Anton in silence. Finally, Anton whispered, "I don't understand. Was it a mistake? Catalepsy? A miracle? A punishment?" The priest's voice was calm. "Not a mistake. Not a punishment. A warning." Anton stared at him. "You weren't with her when she needed you," the old man continued. "You were always too far, too busy telling yourself later. But later doesn't always come." Anton buried his face in his hands. He knew it was true. Yet the priest's voice softened. "She waited for you. That's the strength of a child's love. It forgives before you even ask. When you touched her soul. She heard you. And she came back." "Why?" Anton's voice broke. "Why did she leave at all?" The priest's eyes shone with sorrow. "Perhaps so you would learn never to be late again. In life, in love, in fatherhood." Anton turned to his daughter, sleeping peacefully, clutching his handkerchief in her small fingers. Tears slid down his cheeks. "I understand," he whispered. "I will never walk away first again." The priest rose quietly and left. Under the soft glow of the night lamp, Lisa slept, breathing evenly. And for the first time in years, Anton felt the beating of his own heart, finally in rhythm with hers.